If I'm just thinking about a financial concept, it's like going to a restaurant. The only thing I have to choose is what I want to eat. Or maybe I'm going to eat inside or outside. But that's it. The food just comes to you and you eat it and it's gone. When you think about annuities as a financial product, it's more like going to the grocery store. Number one, you still have to decide what you're going to eat, but you got to decide what ingredients are going to go into there, very similar to some of the features you may be interested in with this financial product or annuity. Welcome to another episode of the Simply Retirement Podcast. I am your host, Eric Blake. Joining me, as always, is Wendy McConnell. Wendy, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. We were talking about the weather before we hopped on here, and we're fortunate enough that it's been in the low 90s. We've got a little bit of rain, too, in the last few days. So it's been relatively nice.
You sent your weather up to us here in Jersey, so thank you.
Yeah, you can have it. Don't send it back. That's all I'm going to say.
We don't like 100 plus degree days here in Jersey.
Yeah, that's part of the deal here in Texas, but we'll survive as always. Well, what's cool about this summer is a little bit different. So I think I can't remember if I've shared this or not, but my daughter has moved back with her family. My granddaughter, who's 2.5 now, and she started swim lessons this week.
Okay.
And so she has the swim instructor. So it's a private. It's at this lady's home. It's just her and a couple other girls, which is really cool. But my wife was there, Dawn was there, and then Caitlin was there too. And they were recording her doing the kicking and all this stuff. And the instructor goes, "She has no fear." Like, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Right.
We're talking about swim.
Yes.
But she is enjoying it to say the least. So that's
good.
It's cool. It's cool this year. And number one, it's great that we can be this close to her now to see her experience these new life events in her little life.
You can just be on grandpa duty now. You don't have to actually take care of her anymore.
It's Papa.
Sorry.
It's important.
Not to me, it is.
That's all right.
Right.
Hey, I would never thought I would be a papa, but here I am.
Hey, you roll with the times.
That's right. So last week we kicked off our 4-part series on annuities by answering a simple question. What I hope was a simple question, and that is, what is an annuity?
Mm-hmm.
And the bottom line is we learned that annuity is just simply a contract with an insurance company that is designed to provide income now or at some point in the future. More importantly, I think we introduced a question that I hope everyone is asking, and that is, what are you trying to accomplish? Because before you choose any financial product, any type of investment, it's important to understand what you're trying to accomplish, then decide whether that product is the right tool for that job.
Okay.
Right. And today we're going to build on that foundation by looking at the different types of annuities. But I do want to just pause a bit. I want to come back to something that you mentioned in the last episode. And after we finished recording, I realized, it's probably something some of our other listeners may be asking as well or wondering. And you mentioned that when you hear the word annuity, in your mind, you think of a stream of payments.
Right.
Right. Using the example of the lottery. So when somebody wins one of these big lotteries, they get the choice of, do I want the lump sum or do I want payments over the rest of my life?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think that's, to some extent, that's where a little bit of the confusion comes in, because you're not wrong. And I'm going to share an analogy that I hope drives this point home a little bit. And I told you again, before we got started, this is either going to go really well or it's going to fly like a lead balloon.
And I will let you know.
I'm sure you will, which is okay. But I think the confusion lies in thinking of annuity as just a financial concept. And as you said, like a stream of payments, versus what I would call an annuity. In our case, what we're talking about in these episodes is a financial product. Okay. Because with a financial product, I'm choosing to put my money into that product in return for some type of feature or benefit. But there are choices that are going to come with that as I decide to put my money into that contract. And I want you to think about these. The comparison I wanted to make here is thinking about a meal. Okay. You're going to go eat. You're hungry, or you just, hey, we're going to go out to eat at some point. And thinking about it from the standpoint of, okay, if I'm just thinking about a financial concept, it's like going to a restaurant. The only thing I have to choose is what I want to eat.
Right.
Right. Maybe I'm going to eat inside or outside, but that's it. The food just comes to you and you eat it and it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Right. When you think about annuities as a financial product, it's more like going to the grocery store. Because there are decisions that have to be made. Number one, you still have to decide what you're going to eat, but you also might have to decide what ingredients are going to go into that meal. And some people might like onions. Some people don't like onion. I hate tomatoes. You might love tomatoes. But you got to decide what ingredients are going to go into there, very similar to some of the features you may be interested in with this financial product or annuity. And I think one of the things for you, the question you asked that I think might make some sense is you also have to decide if you're going to be making the meal, how long do you want to wait before eating?
Okay. Bravo. I think that's good.
I think sense?
That's really good, Eric.
So obviously you could say, well, I'm just going to buy the pre-made chicken that's already ready to go and eat immediately. That's one option.
Right.
Or it might be, hey, I want something. This might be an overnight thing. I might be doing a stew and I got to put it in the pot and it's going to sit overnight.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to decide, when am I going to actually eat this meal?
Mm-hmm.
Very much like an annuity. I could say, well, I'm going to turn on the income today, or I'm going to wait and I'm going to turn on the income 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, whatever's appropriate for that situation. So obviously, as you indicated, an annuity can refer to a stream of payments, which is actually something that when I was going through the CFP exam or taking the CFP exam or going through the education curriculum, that's one of the things we had to do is say, well, there's these payments, recurring payments over time. What's the present value of those payments? What would it be worth today? If I said, hey, I'm receiving an annuity, but some emergency came up, I need a lump sum for some reason, but all I've got are these payments.
Okay.
What would it be worth today if I said, hey, what if I could sell this thing, get a lump sum today, and somebody else starts receiving those payments? I got to know what that's worth.
Okay.
Right. But I think that's the correlation I would make in terms of, again, back to the eating concept of saying, do I want to eat immediately, or do I want to delay and I'm going to eat some point down the road, or is this a future order? Right?
Yeah.
Either way, you've got to make decisions on how do I want to structure this thing. And again, very much like annuities, you got to pick the features and benefits that you're looking for. You got to decide when I'm going to start receiving income. And that's when we start getting into the idea of one of the other confusing things that you mentioned was, okay, how does this accumulation phase versus annuitization phase, how does that make sense?
Right.
Well, so back to our food conversation of saying, okay, the annuitization phase is basically what we just said. I'm going to go, I'm going to pick up something to go and I'm going to eat it right now.
Okay.
That's also considered what I would call the annuitization phase. It's immediately the asset, I've given up the asset. I've given the insurance company my money, and immediately in return, they're going to start paying me an income.
All right.
That's the annuitization phase.
Gotcha. So let me think. The annuitization phase then is just when you start receiving the payments.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Then the accumulation phase, again, back to our food example of saying, okay, well, I'm going to start this process today, but I'm actually not going to actually eat this until tomorrow. So the accumulation, and in the meantime, I got to figure out, what temperature do I need to cook this at, right? I might need to cook it. Is it going to be a slow cook? Is it going to be a quick cook? Are you going to be like me and say, what if I turn the heat up a little bit? Maybe I can go a little bit faster. I can get this thing done a little faster.
That's what I do, and I burn everything.
Right. But that's what I think was hopefully this will lead us into the types of annuities conversation, because that exact same reason is, am I the person that likes to be slow, the slow cooker, take time, let it sit there and let it do whatever it's going to do? Or am I somebody who wants something, I want it to go really fast? Right.
Okay.
And that's going to lead us to the types of annuities. And so again, you weren't wrong with what you thought an annuity was, but that's where we say, okay, what's the difference between the concept of annuity being just a payment, a series of payments, versus a product that I'm deciding to put money into in return for something that I'm going to get, some type of feature, some type of benefit, some type of guarantee. In most cases, the purpose of annuity, there's going to be some amount of guarantee, whether that's related to the income or a death benefit or even an interest that I'm going to earn, right? And so that's when we start thinking about the financial product and what are the different types of annuities that are out there that I might be able to choose from. And then what are the decisions that come along with that? So the first thing is you think about, when do I want that income to start, right? So there's always an income element to it. Now, there might be some other features we have to decide on, but ultimately, there is an income component to this.
Mm-hmm.
And second thing is, if income isn't starting today, how do you want your money to work for you while you're waiting? Again, do I want high temperature, low temperature? How fast do I want this thing to cook?
Okay.
Right. And so when we think about the decisions, when do you want to start income? Let's start with the first question, and then that'll lead us into different types of annuities that might be available to you. So the first question, then we say, do you need income now? Or are you planning to take income later? Okay. If your priority is in creating income today, you're going to be looking at something called an immediate income annuity.
Okay.
That might be worth considering. With an immediate income annuity, you generally make a lump sum payment to the insurance company. And in return, that insurance company begins making income payments back to you, often within a month, although some contracts begin a little bit later. But the goal ultimately is income right away.
So I'm eating the meal right away.
Exactly. There's little to no accumulation phase. We're not letting this thing sit there and earn interest or do anything else because our purpose is in creating income, right? So the focus isn't on growing money. The focus is creating income. And then one question I hear quite a bit is this: how does an insurance company decide on how much I'm going to receive, right? And the answer is actually pretty straightforward. It's based mainly on how much you're going to put in, of course. When do I want payments to begin? What is our current interest rate environment? And then are there any other guarantees that I might choose to receive or to be part of this contract? So in general, the older you are when the income begins, the larger your payment's going to be because the insurance company expects to make those payments over fewer years.
Okay.
Right? So if it's a lifetime payment, if I'm 70 versus somebody that's 50, the 70-year-old is going to receive a higher lifetime payout because they've got less time to live, right? And so that's what some of these decisions are going to be based on. And then we're going to spend much more time talking about the guarantees in our fourth episode, because that's where they can affect both not only the income that you're receiving, but also what are some of the costs that might be associated with the annuity that I'm purchasing.
All right.
Now, the trade-off with an immediate annuity is that you're generally giving up access to the lump sum you used to purchase the annuity contract.
Okay.
Right. So if I put $100,000 in an annuity, I really think that $100,000 is no longer mine. It's the insurance company's, but in return, they're going to start paying me some amount of money for the rest of my life, over a 10-year period, over a 20-year period, whatever the terms of that contract might be, right? So for someone whose goal is creating income today, that may be exactly the right trade-off. But what if you don't need income yet? Right? Maybe you're still working, or maybe you've already retired and you have enough income currently from Social Security or a pension or your other savings. You know you'll need additional income later. You just don't need it today, right? That's where something called a deferred income annuity, or sometimes referred to, you might hear the term DIA. That's where this type of annuity contract comes into the conversation. So a deferred income annuity has the same purpose as an immediate annuity. The difference is simply when the payments are going to begin. So instead of starting income shortly after you purchase it, you choose a future date. And that amount of that future income is due to be determined in much the very same way, okay? It's going to be based mainly on how much you put into the contract, when your payments are going to begin, interest rates, and again, any type of guarantees you might choose, okay? Now, one additional factor is how long you wait before those payments begin. So in general, the longer you defer the income, the larger those future payments are expected to be.
So it's like planning Thanksgiving dinner now.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. That's perfect. So this food thing is going to work really well. I'm going to use this. I came up with this at the gym this morning. I'll just be honest. I came up with this idea at the gym. I'm like, how can I make this thing sink in? Food is always the right answer.
Food's always the right answer. Yes.
So in the case with the deferred income annuity, the objective isn't simply to grow your money. The objective is to create income later on in retirement. But a deferred income annuity isn't the only financial product that can provide income later. That's where we're going to get into the next, what I would call you got a deferred income annuity. I want to make sure I'm hopefully clear on this as much as I can. So there's the deferred income annuity, which again, we're basically saying, and we actually have a client who did this probably a handful of years ago now. And every year we're looking to say, what is the current projected income when your start date is set, right? So in this case, they had the option of saying, okay, do I want income to start at 65 or 67? And they had a little bit of flexibility to say, well, I'm not going to retire at 65. I'm probably going to be retiring closer to 67 or 70. They had the choice to say, well, I'm going to defer it just a little bit longer. Now, you don't get a lot of choices in these cases when we're talking about deferred income. But that, in this particular case, that was one of the things that they did have access to.
Okay.
But these are, again, talking about income-based annuities where the purpose is, in fact, income. Okay.
Got it.
Hi, everyone. It's Eric. Hope you're enjoying today's episode. I want to take just a quick moment to share a resource I think you'll find really valuable. If you've ever asked yourself, how much is my Social Security reduced if I file early? Or am I eligible for benefits as a spouse, surviving spouse, or even after divorce? You're not alone. That's why we created our ultimate guide to women's Social Security success. It includes 6 of our most popular Social Security guides and checklists for women. Inside, you'll find a 2026 quick reference guide with key Social Security amounts and limits to be aware of, along with 5 additional guides and checklists to help you make more informed decisions about eligibility and filing strategies. You can download it for free at womenssocialsecurityguide.com. Keep it handy wherever you may be in the decision-making process. Now, back to the episode. Then we start talking about what I would call deferred annuities. Not deferred income, but deferred annuities, okay? This is where we're actually putting our money into a contract, and before we turn that income switch on, our money is going to be working for us.
Okay.
Right? And the difference is that they give you choices. You can have choices about how your money works during the accumulation phase, okay? So annuitization is income. Accumulation is, again, this deferral period where the money is actually working for you until you flip that income switch on, okay? So the question now is, how do you want your money to work while you're waiting?
Yep. How do I want it to work?
So if you don't need income today, your money is going to spend some time in the accumulation phase. So then the next question becomes, again, how do you want your money to work while it's in there? And the way I would think about these types of annuities is, I'm going to get away from the food analogy for just a second. We could probably try it in, but I already had this kind of in my mind of how I want to do this. In this case, we're going to talk about automobiles, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They're all designed to get you where you're going. Again, there's going to be income at some point down the road. We just haven't decided when yet. But if you think about a car, they're all built differently because drivers have different needs, right? Some people want fuel economy. Others might have a large family. Others might just be focused on performance. So none is automatically the best choice. It depends on what you need that vehicle to do for you. And annuities are very much the same. And from that perspective, they're all designed to make income possible at some point. The difference is how they get you there. Okay. So let's start with the most simple of these options. That is something called a fixed annuity. Okay. So if predictability is your priority, a fixed annuity may be a good fit. Okay. So the fixed annuity, the insurance company credits a stated interest rate for some period of time. It might be 3 years, it might be 5 years, it might be 7 years. You know how your money is going to expect it to grow over that time period. That's the biggest advantage. So if I get an annuity contract that's going to guarantee me a 4% interest rate, for example, over 5 years, I know what I'm going to receive. I know what's going to be there at the end.
So it's like a CD.
Very much like a CD, except for the tax deferral. So again, next episode 3, we're going to talk about the tax implications. So we're earning like a CD, but I'm not having to pay tax on the earnings as it's growing.
Okay. I'm always skipping ahead. You know that.
Yeah, I know. But you always set me up too. That's good. That's all right. But actually, as you can expect, the trade-off is that you're giving up some growth potential if the market performs really well. We've seen the market do extremely well over the last several years. That's what you're giving up to some extent. Now, again, if you're risk high, if you're just a conservative person, you might not necessarily think of that as a trade-off. But again, the idea behind a fixed annuity is I know what I'm getting after some period of time.
Okay.
Now we look at our next type of annuity, and this is where we say, okay, perhaps you're looking for more growth potential. But at the same time, you're uncomfortable exposing that money directly to stock market and potential losses, okay? That's where a fixed indexed annuity may fit, okay? So with a fixed indexed annuity, your money isn't invested directly in the stock market. Instead, it's going to be connected or tied to the performance of a market index.
Okay. And what is a market index?
So think about when you look at the news, most of us you see the Dow Jones, or you see the S&P 500, or you see the NASDAQ 100, you see whatever those different things that scroll across your screen that most people shouldn't be paying attention to. But they do. I understand. But the S&P 500 is an index. So that's an index of the largest 500 companies in our country, simply put. So with an fixed indexed annuity, my performance is tied to that. If the index performs well, your annuity may receive part of that growth. Now, you're never going to get all the growth and none of the risk. There's nothing out there that does that, right?
Can we create something?
Create something
that? Yeah, that'd be really cool.
You might be able to, but the cost might be pretty extensive. So that would be the challenge.
Okay.
But again, you're participating in the market performance. You're getting some of the upside, but you're trading off, again, all the upside for some amount of protection on the downside. So you might, if it's just a traditional fixed index annuity where maybe I have a cap of, say, 7%, right? Just as an example. If the market does 15, I get 7. If the market does 5, I get 5. But if the market loses 15, I get 0.
Okay, I got you.
So that's you're participating in the upside with protection your principal on the downside. Now, so that means you may not necessarily lose value because of the market, but you'd want to be aware of fees. And again, we're going to expand on fees and costs and things like that for annuities in our 4th episode of this series. But the bottom line here is with a fixed index annuity, the opportunity for some of the upside of the market without the downside.
Okay.
So you don't need to understand all those details today. We're going to, again, talk about some of these other more specific contract features, costs, things like that in a future episode. But again, a fixed index annuity is designed to provide more growth potential than a traditional fixed annuity while helping reduce the impact of market declines.
Yes, I like that.
Now let's look at the other end of the spectrum. If you're comfortable accepting more investment risk in exchange for greater growth potential, a variable annuity may be worth considering.
Mm-hmm.
With a variable annuity, your money is invested in underlying investment options. So maybe think of it kind of like your 401k. You got to pick some funds that you're going to invest in. In an annuity, they're actually called sub-accounts, but it's very much similar to a mutual fund. If they don't do well, then your account value may decrease. But if those investments do perform well, your account value may increase based on how aggressive or how conservative you are within those allocations. But again, the opportunity for greater growth comes with greater investment risk.
Right.
But now you can probably see why there isn't one annuity that's best for everyone, because each type is designed to solve a different retirement planning challenge. And that's why I keep coming back to that same exact question we've asked throughout this series. What are you trying to accomplish? And I think one of the things to think about, like with the variable annuity, is there's some people that they have a higher risk level, risk tolerance, maybe they're at a higher tax bracket, and they're just looking for more opportunities for their money to grow. But I come back to that tax component and that tax deferral. Some people say, well, why would I choose a variable annuity, right? It could just simply because I don't want to pay income or tax on the income as my assets are growing. And that's where a variable annuity may give you that upside opportunity. You can be as aggressive as conservative as you want to be, but those earnings stay tax deferred. They stay inside that annuity until you get ready to withdraw those dollars.
Okay.
Now, once you can answer that question, what are you trying to accomplish? It becomes much easier to determine whether an annuity belongs in your retirement plan. And if it does, which type may be the right tool for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So by now, hopefully this has become a little bit more understandable.
It has.
Different annuities exist because there's different retirement goals that require different solutions. So as we just kind of bring everything together, the first question is always going to be, do I need income now or do I need it later? Then if income will begin later, you ask yourself, well, how do I want my money to work while I'm waiting for that income to start? And these two questions will narrow your choices considerably. And remember, the objective isn't to find the best annuity. The objective is to determine whether an annuity belongs in your retirement plan at all. And if it does, which type is the right one for you.
All right.
Right. So before we finish, there's one more point I want to make, and that is that every annuity we've discussed today generally can be owned inside of an IRA as well. Okay. Or purchased with after-tax dollars outside of a retirement account.
Do you mean that I can use money from my IRA to purchase an annuity?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And we're going to tie the tax component to that. We're going to tie up in the next episode. We're going to bring up in the next episode. With IRAs, because they're already tax deferred, you don't get extra tax deferral because they got an annuity as well. Right. There's no extra bonus tax deferral.
Double savings.
That's right. But the type of annuity doesn't determine how it's taxed. It's how you own it that does, right? And that's exactly what we're going to cover in the next episode. We're going to explain how annuities are taxed, the difference between owning an annuity inside of an IRA versus purchasing one with after-tax dollars. And of course, why understanding that distinction can help you make better retirement planning decisions.
All right.
If you like help organizing your thoughts, I encourage you to download the free companion guide that we're going to be including in the show notes for this episode. It's called Does an Annuity Fit Within My Financial Plan? Again, one of the reasons I like this is because, again, it helps you ask the right questions. Instead of starting with a product or do I need an annuity, do I not? It starts with what you're trying to accomplish. So once you answer that question, it becomes much easier to determine whether an annuity does belong in your retirement plan or not, and which goals you may be trying to accomplish with that particular product. And you can download that at the simplyretirementpodcast.com.
Okay.
All right. Well, hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully this cleared up a little bit of the confusion we had from the last episode.
Made me hungry too.
Excellent. That's perfect. For us, it's lunchtime. So you're already past lunch.
Oh, no, I'm not.
Oh, okay. You still grab. So are you going to cook something? Or are you going to go to a restaurant?
I'm going to make something. It's going to take a while too. Yeah.
There you go. So you got a deferred food option there.
Yeah.
Deferred annuity, deferred food option.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, that is it for today's episode. As always, thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Wendy, for joining me once again as well. For all the links and resources mentioned today, including the free copy of Does an Annuity Fit Within My Financial Plan, visit the simplyretirementpodcast.com. Don't forget to follow our show so you don't miss the next episode where we talk about taxation of annuities. And until next time, please remember, retirement is not the end of the road. It's the start of a new journey.
You've listened to Eric on the podcast and heard conversations about retirement income, Social Security, taxes, investing, and many of the financial and non-financial aspects that shape retirement for women. But you may still be wondering what sets Blake Wealth Management apart from other retirement planning firms. The answer is quite simple. At Blake Wealth Management, retirement planning is about more than investments. Eric's passion for helping women comes from the strong women in his own life, including being raised by a single mother and watching his grandmother navigate widowhood at just 62 years old. Those experiences continue to shape the mission behind this podcast and the work we do every day. Whether you are planning retirement with a spouse, navigating retirement on your own, or simply preparing for what may come next, the team at Blake Wealth Management is available to assist you with your retirement planning needs. Visit blakewealthmanagement.com for a free retirement assessment, or call 972-426-7237. Content here is for illustrative purposes and general information only. It is not legal, tax, or individualized financial advice, nor is it a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any specific security or engage in any specific trading strategy. Results will vary. Past performance is no indication of future results or success. Market conditions change continuously. This commentary reflects the personal opinions, viewpoints, and analysis of Blake Wealth Management. It does not necessarily represent those of RFG Advisory, their clients, or their employees. This commentary should not be regarded as a description of advisory services provided by Blake Wealth Management or RFG Advisory, or performance returns of any client. The views reflected in the commentary are subject to change at any time without notice. Advisory services offered by investment advisory representatives of RFG Advisory, a registered investment advisor. Blake Wealth Management and RFG Advisory are unaffiliated entities. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where RFG Advisory and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. No advisory services may be rendered by RFG Advisory unless a client agreement is in place.